Hello, everyone. I want you to listen to this song and look at the pictures and think about what are we learning about today? What am I going to learn about today? Right? So if you want to know, listen to the words, look at the pictures. All right. Feel free to move around and sing along if you want to, but most importantly, listen to the words, look at the pictures, and think, what are we learning about today? All right, let's go.
I ride on a bike. I ride on a bike, but I want to go faster, 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 faster. I ride on a bus. I ride on a bus, but I want to go faster, 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 faster. I ride in a car. I ride in a car, but I want to go faster, 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 faster. Bike, bike, bus, bus, car, car. Train, train, plane, plane, rocket, rocket. I ride on a train. I ride on a train, but I want to go faster, 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 faster. I fly on a plane. I fly on a plane, but I want to go faster, 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 faster. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! I fly in a rocket. I fly into space in a rocket. I fly in a rocket. I fly into space in a rocket.
What a great song. And are you any closer to guessing what we're talking about today? Can you remember one word for all of these things? Look at the pictures. Think about the song. Yes, some of you got it. Transportation. Remember, transportation. Transportation. These are all different kinds of transport. Transportation helps us to get from one place to another. You can remember these. These are easy. But what about those that don't have names? Can you remember this one? Yes, it's a motorcycle. Different to the scooter is smaller. It's not as strong and powerful. It cannot go as fast as a motorcycle. The scooter is slower and smaller. What about this? Many of us go in these every year. Well, not anymore. But we used to when we travel to visit our friends and family. Yes, an airplane. Very good. What about this one? This looks like a bus, but it's not a bus. People use these to take things, goods, food from one place to another, right? What do you think it is? Yes, a truck. Now, what about these up here? These help you to fly up into the sky. They have these in Taidong at a festival. Yes, the hot air balloon festival in Taidong. I would love to go one day, wouldn't you? There's another one that's similar to an airplane, but it's faster. Right, and then people in the army pilots and navy pilots would fly these to help protect Taiwan and help to protect their country. Yes, a jet or a fighter jet. Good. What about another kind of taxi that we can call to our house on our phone using an app? Yes, of course. Uber. And then we don't need to have our own bicycle anymore. These days there are different little bicycle stations all around the city. These are called, yes, the bicycles are called U-bikes. Ta-da! There's U-bike 1 and U-bike 2. I see more people are using U-bike 2 these days. 2.0 is the way to go. All right, so remember the sentence patterns. How can we get to the hospital? How can we get to a place? We can get there by bus. We can get there by car. You can choose any kind of transportation. And then there's another question, another sentence pattern. Can we get to the library by MRT? Yes, we can. Or no, we can't. We can get there by bike. I'm sure you remember these. We already did this in Unit 2, so we don't need to go over this too much. Now, let's look at some new transportation, new kinds, different kinds of transportation around the world. Now, look at this one. In Switzerland, it's fun to ski in winter. Ah, that's skiing, I see. Have you skied before? I don't think there's any skiing in Taiwan. Not a lot, because there's not a lot of snow. I think many people would go to Korea or Japan to go and ski. There is snow all over the mountain. You can get to the mountaintop by cable car. Wow, this is a cable car. Do we have cable cars in Taiwan? Now, don't confuse this with a gondola. We have gondolas near the Taipei Zoo in Muza, right, in Maokong. But this is not a gondola. This is bigger. This is a cable car. But now, what is the difference between a gondola and a cable car? Right, so both gondolas and cable cars help us to go from the bottom of a mountain to the top of a mountain to have a look, to go hiking, to go and ski. Do you know what this place is? Yeah, this is the gondola in Maokong, in Taipei, near Muza, right, near the Taipei Zoo. This gondola helps us to go to the tea shops and the restaurants up in Maokong. It's so nice. What a beautiful view of Taipei City and Taipei 101. So instead of walking up or hiking up or driving up and there's no parking, it's so easy to take the gondola and go up and find a nice tea house and have some tea and some cookies and look at the beautiful view. Now, if that's a gondola, what is this one? Yes, it's a cable car. Do you know where this cable car is? It's in a small town Not too far from Taipei. Do you recognize that waterfall? Yes, this is Ulai. Now, what is the difference between a gondola and a cable car? Can anyone tell me? Think about it. Right, if we're looking at comparing things, thinking about what is the difference between two things, let's take a look at what is different. Right? We know what is similar, the same. It is transport that takes you from the bottom to the top of a mountain. But what is the difference? A gondola is, if we look at size, it's smaller, and a cable car is bigger. So that means how many people can go in a gondola? Less, maybe 4 to 6 people. But what about a cable car? Yeah, it's much bigger, so probably 15 to 20, maybe even 25 people can go in a cable car. Probably more, but I don't know. More than that makes me feel a bit scared. Yeah, so gondolas and cable cars are different. Most countries have both of them. Um, but I would think more countries have cable cars. Can fit more people. Okay, now this is another kind of transportation, but this time this is in Greenland, no longer Switzerland, right? So this is Greenland. If you're not sure where Greenland is, it's not in Europe like Switzerland, right? This is Switzerland, yes. This is not in Europe like Switzerland. This is, yeah, Greenland. That's quite small. Let me make it bigger for you because maybe you don't know this one. There we go. Greenland. You might say Greenland. You might think we say Greenland, but we actually say Greenland. In Greenland, it's very cold. Yeah, look at that picture. It looks cold. It's very cold and snowy in winter. Some people get around by sled. They have strong dogs to pull the sleds. Yes, those are called husky dogs. Many years ago, hundreds of years ago, husky dogs were used to pull sleds. But these days, less and less sleds pulled by husky dogs are used. More people use motorized snowmobiles these days with engines, right? Because they feel shame, the poor dogs. But many dog sleds are still used around the world, especially in Greenland for tourists. People want to know what it's like to go on a dog sled, right? So tourists will go there and they will go on the dog sled. So you will still find sleds pulled by dogs, husky dogs, especially in places like Canada or Norway, and of course Greenland, where it's cold and snowy. Oh, there's another kind of transportation in this country. Do you know what country this is? Well, yes, of course. It's Hong Kong in China, of course. And you can get around Hong Kong by ferry. From the ferry, you can enjoy the beautiful view. There's a light show at 8 o'clock. Don't miss it. Wow. So you take the ferry and then you can look at the beautiful light show. Look at all those lights, guys. That's amazing. So ferries are used especially in cities where there's lots of little islands and you have to go from one part of the city to another over the ocean, right? Especially in places like Hong Kong and New York. Ooh, what country is this, everyone? Yeah, look at the pyramids. The pyramids of Giza are in Egypt. Yeah, I'm sure we've learned about that already. And what animal is this? Who can tell me? Yes, it's definitely not a horse or a llama. It's a camel. In Egypt, it's hot and dry in the desert. There is very little water in the desert. Camels can live without water for 7 days. Wow! So some people ride camels in Egypt. Oh, that's amazing. 7 days without water. Wow. It is said that camels have humps on their backs to store the water. Isn't that amazing? And some camels have 2 humps, so even more water. Maybe. All right, so now that we've looked at some kinds of transportation, we have the cable car, we have the ferry, the camel, the sled. Let's play a little game. We're going to read a sentence pattern, number 1. We're going to guess that person, we know their country, but we don't know how they get around. What transportation do they use? Now, number 1 says, don't forget to read along, everyone. I'm in Greenland. I can get around by, can anyone tell me what transportation they use in Greenland? I can get around by, is it ferry, camel, sled, or cable car? Think about it carefully. Look at the picture. Remember what we learned already. Remember the readings. Yes, of course. Yeah, that's right. I can get around by sled. Remember the husky dogs pulling the sled across the snow? So much snow and cold. What about number 2? We're in Egypt. We can ride a... All right, so what do we ride in Egypt? We can ride a in the desert. Is it ferry, camel, or cable car? This is quite easy. Yes, it's the camel. We can't have a ferry or maybe a cable car in the desert, but I don't know. When I think desert, I think camel. Very good. Definitely not a ferry. There's no water in the desert. What about number 3? We're in Hong Kong. We can get around by, is it ferry or cable car? Who can tell me? Do you know? Think about it. Try to remember. Yes! A ferry. Good. We're in Hong Kong. We can get around by ferry. From place to place, from island to island. What about number 4? I'm in Switzerland, right? In the Alps, in the middle of Europe, there's Switzerland. The Alps are beautiful big mountains and they're very popular for skiing. I can get to the mountaintop by, the only one that's left is, yes, the transportation that takes us from the bottom of a mountain to the top of a mountain. Yes, not the gondola, something bigger. Yeah, the cable car. It can take many people up to the top of the mountain so they can see the beautiful view, or they can ski down. Now, let's take a look at other kinds of interesting, unique, and different transportation around the world. What about this one? If you take a look at this, it's a kind of boat. And it has the same name as the transportation that takes you from the bottom of Malkong to the top. Yes, a gondola. This is the When I think of gondola, I think of this. The boat that is pushed and pulled by a gondolier, a person that has a pole, and they push the boat along. This is in Venice, Italy. This city is on water, it's surrounded by water. It's beautiful. You should go one day. Okay. This place is not too far away from here. Do you know where this is? Yes, maybe it's Thailand. And what transportation is it? It's like a little three-wheeler scooter that is covered. Two people can sit in the back. Two people can sit in the back, and one person can drive in the front. It's called a tuk-tuk. A tuk-tuk in Thailand. So we have gondola and we have tuk-tuk. Gondola, tuk-tuk. What about this one? This is where I'm from. Can you remember? Yeah, South Africa. This is a rickshaw. Everybody say rickshaw. Rickshaw. Gondola. Rickshaw. So this is a rickshaw in South Africa. A rickshaw is kind of transportation that someone must pull. They can jump and walk and run, and a person or two can sit in the back in the chair with two wheels, and they are pulled by a person. In South Africa, in Durban, there are many rickshaw drivers that are dressed in beautiful clothes and headdress. They are very, very colorful and exciting. You should go and see them one day. So we have gondola, tuk-tuk, rickshaw. Oh, and what about this one? We've already learned about this city. Remember the city that had ferries? Yes, Hong Kong. Now this kind of transportation takes us up steep mountains. It's kind of like a train, and it takes you up a mountain, especially a city that's near a mountain and you'll want to go up and see the beautiful view, but you don't want to walk, hike, or drive a car. This helps you to go from the bottom of the mountain to the top, especially if you don't have a cable car. A funicular. Yeah, a funicular can also take you from the bottom of a mountain to the top. This funicular is in Hong Kong. What about this kind of transportation? This is actually named after the sound it makes when you are going down this transportation very, very fast. Zip. So people are going down lines, zip line. This is a zip line in New Zealand. Many people go on zip lines for fun. This is mostly a tourist thing, especially for people who want to travel through forests and see the top of the forest and see beautiful birds and animals in the tops of the trees. This is a great way to travel through forests, to zip line. But some people actually use this to go from village to village or to go to school. But most people who use zip lines are tourists. And don't forget, the zip line comes from the sound. Zip, zoom, or zip is another sound that tells us we are flying very fast, sliding fast down the line. Zip line. Of course, these are lines over here. Zip line. And this zip line is in New Zealand. So don't forget gondola, tuk-tuk, rickshaw, funicular, and zip line. What about this one? This one is in Vietnam, similar to a rickshaw, But instead of people power, it's bicycle power. Yes, so it's in the word bicycle, cyclo. A cyclo in Vietnam. Very similar to a rickshaw, right? But people power, bicycle power. This one the person will pull, and this one the bicycle will be the power. The bicycle rides the person, drives the person. Okay, wonderful. And it's different because the rickshaw, the person is in the front and the bicycle's in the back. We have one more kind of transportation. Let's just go over everything again. Gondola, tuk-tuk, rickshaw, funicular, zipline, cyclo, and do-do-do-do-do. Yes, we had to have another animal that we use as transportation, right? We use the camel, the horse, and what about this one? Can anyone think what this is? Do you know? Oh, you know it's a llama. Riding a llama in Peru. Very good. She is riding a llama in Peru. Wonderful. Good job, guys. So, gondola, tuk-tuk, rickshaw, funicular, zipline, cyclo, llama. Wow, so many different kinds of interesting transportation around the world. Italy, Thailand, South Africa, Hong Kong, New Zealand, Vietnam, Peru, all over the world. Now, let's play a game. This activity is a matching activity. Look at the picture. This is number 1. And think about what transportation that is. Is it a tuk-tuk, a gondola, a llama, a funicular, a rickshaw, a cyclo, or a zipline? Yes, you were listening. Good. Do-do-do-do-do. Cyclo. Number 1 is cyclo. What about number 2? Can anyone remember this one? Look at the words at the bottom and try to match. Try to remember. Yes? Okay. Good. Some of you got it. Rickshaw. Rickshaw. What about number 3? Does anyone know? This transportation is in Thailand. Yes, you remember. Tuk-tuk. So we have the cyclo, the rickshaw, and the tuk-tuk. And as you can see, the cyclo and the rickshaw are quite similar. But the cyclo is powered by a bicycle, and the rickshaw is pulled by a man, by a person. And of course, we have our tuk-tuk, our three-wheelered scooter, covered scooter. It's very small, and it gets around very quick. What about number 4? Can you remember? It's got a funny name. Funny name. Yes, but we don't say funicular, we say funicular. Funicular. Good. Diddly-loo. What about number 5? Right? We don't always just use machines as transportation or vehicles. We also use some animals for transportation. What animal is this? Yes, I'm sure you know this one. There's only 3 words to choose from. Llama. 2 L's. Llama. What about number 6? Remember? The sound of going fast down a line. Zip, zoom is in the name of this transportation. That's right. Zip line. Last but not least, this one, This transportation has the same name as the small cable cars. It's not a cable car, but it's similar. In Mao Kong. Yes, the gondola. Doo-loo-loo-loo. Number 7 is gondola. Oh, solo mio. And of course, the gondolier will push the gondola with a pole, and he will sing as he pushes the pole. Oh, solo mio. Okay, one more activity. I want us to remember the sentence pattern, right? I'm in Thailand. I can get around by. So think of the transportation, name it, and say it out loud. Try to read this sentence pattern as well. Think of the transportation and read it using the word, using the name of the transportation. Fill in the missing transportation. I'm in Thailand. I can get around by. Can you remember? We've said it quite a few times already. Yes, tuk-tuk. What about number 2? This is where teacher Brinley's from. We're in South Africa. We can get around by. Can you remember the name of that transportation? Fill in the missing transportation. Try to remember. I know it's not easy. Yes. Did you guess right? Rickshaw. We're in South Africa. We can get around by rickshaw. What about number 3? This is riding an animal. Can you remember which one? She's in Peru. She can ride a. You can remember the name of this animal, right? She can ride a llama. Very good, everyone. So number 1 is a tuk-tuk, number 2 is a rickshaw, and number 3 is a llama. You guys are so good. All right. So I hope you have learned some new transportation, very interesting and different transportations. Okay, great. I hope you guys had fun learning about transportation all around the world. Different interesting ways that people around the world move around, right? Everyone has different kinds of transportation, right? It's not just cars and buses and trains and bicycles. There's also rickshaws and funiculars and ferries and cable cars. It's very interesting. Now, I'm going to play us out with another video. This video is also about very interesting and different and peculiar transportation around the world, right? It's quite a long video, so you don't have to watch the whole thing, but it's fun. If you want to, you can. If not, you can stop at any time. But have a look. It's really interesting. So many different kinds of transportation around the world. Okay, everyone. Goodbye. Hope to see you in class soon.